snow for the Northeast, fire for the Eastern Rockies, and severe thunderstorms for almost the rest of the week. Good morning, I'm meteorologist Putes, January 6, 2026. So in yesterday's forecast, we talked about a low pressure that developed in Eastern Rockies around Colorado and eventually traveled to the Midwest, but brought in a lot of mixed precipitation for places like Minnesota and Wisconsin. And that's slowly traveling past the Great Lakes in this moment. And so for places like Ontario and the Northeast, we're going to see some snow. And this is very similar to the low pressure that you guys saw about 2 days ago, but this is going to be a little bit stronger. Still, in all these places, we're going to see about 1 to 4 inches of snow accumulation. So first it's going to be hitting Ontario, Canada around like 2 p.m. Eastern time, but eventually places like upstate New York and all these places are probably going to see snow around like 5 p.m. Eastern time, and this is going to last throughout the evening and into tomorrow afternoon. If you live adjacent to the Appalachian Mountains, especially on the western side, you guys may see a little bit more snow than other places. And this is happening because if we look at 500 millibars of mid-winter troposphere, we have this shortwave trough that's coming in, and it's kind of straightening a little bit. So with these shortwave troughs, they bring in a lot of vorticity or spin, and that helps with the upward motion. But if we go down to the low levels at 850 millibars, we can see that this low pressure is bringing a lot of southerly flow, bringing in that warmer, moist air into this region. And so that's essentially adding fuel to this snowstorm, but also there's a lot of remnants of moisture because this came from the Pacific as well. On top of that, we have a thing called isentropic lift that's also happening, which is essentially a lot of warm air advection going up at an incline above colder air. And so speaking of this low pressure in the Great Lakes, in conjunction with that, we have another low pressure somewhere around like the Saskatchewan area in Canada. And with that, we're going to have a lot of westerly flow in places like Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska. So with the winds going down from the mountain and also perpendicular, we're going to have that downslope warming effect where it's going to warm it up and dry this area down. But we're also going to have surface wind speeds from about 15 to 20 miles per hour sustained. And so in this area, it's going to be easy for fire ignition and fire spread today. But in general, from this area and even places like Montana may see a lot of high surface winds anyway. Looking at 500 millibars at the broader picture of things, we have that low pressure that's off the coast of California and another low pressure that's coming off the Pacific Northwest. So for the Pacific Northwest today, as this low pressure comes in, you guys are going to have waves of light to moderate rain. But eventually, these two low pressure systems are going to cause a lot of rain from the southern part of the US to the Midwest. So setting up for tomorrow, we're going to have a marginal risk for severe weather, but there's going to be an isolated risk for high winds and hail. And this first wave is going to be caused by this low pressure that's off the coast of California that's going to be yoinked by this high pressure. And so eventually by tomorrow night, we're going to see a surface low pressure develop on the Eastern Rockies, and it's going to cause a lot of severe weather for the following days. And that similar pattern is going to happen once this low pressure from the Pacific Northwest also reaches this area too, but possibly a lot more severe. So in short, in these areas, we're going to see either a lot of rain or thunderstorms for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe even Saturday.